Hey guys, I'm welding up today, but before I go and start welding I need to get hold of some new equipment. So I need a vise, so I'm on my way to get that, and then be down in the studio, begin to weld. Hi everyone, right, I'm back down in my studio and I was successful in some ways. I managed to get this nice new vise, and I also got a couple of these clamps. And they'll be coming in useful to hold bits of metal together while I weld them. I'm going to do a quick whip around and clean up the desk area and mount this new vise, and then I'll begin work on some new pieces. When I say new pieces, I don't actually mean beginning. I'm not working on brand new work. I'm actually going to start working on this piece. And that's because they've already got some surface there that's been sitting around for a couple of months, even years, and I'm curious to see how it works out, kind of upcycling these works. Yeah, and I also think it'll be easier, so there'll be a better learning curve before I go starting brand new pieces entirely. So, I'm gonna crack on. So the vise is now put on. I'm quite happy with that. We'll be using that later today probably. And I'll just clean up the desk, and now it's time to work on this piece that I showed you before. It's upside down at the moment, but we're going to put it up on the desk. I'm going to make a plan of what the skeleton, you know, the welding backbone is going to look like. That way it's going to give it some rigidity. So this floppy surface can then be mounted somehow. Once that's mounted to the subframe, I will then rework the surface with some string, and then hopefully we're going to have a really nice piece that yeah, has actually been in the pipeline for like 3 years now. So yeah, quite excited actually. Let's get on with it and see what problems occur. Hopefully none. You can see all of the piece just laid out here now. I'm going to probably cut some rudimentary metal bars. And I've got here a piece of paper. So let's find a drawing implement and a knife. Okay, so you can kind of see what's going on here. These two pieces here aren't actually straight. So I think what I'm going to do is actually remove them entirely, and then the metal will become the actual bars once I rework the bars and put string around it to make the surface blend in. Obviously when it's painted it gets rid of a lot of those things that you noticed before painting. So I think there's going to be a bar here, and then I think one bar going all the way across, and then a bar here. So that's going to be the main structure, and maybe it's going to need, you know, bracings of some kind to give it some strength. And then this one's going to come across. These two are going to come across here to maybe another bracket here like this. That'll come straight in. Maybe there'll be another crossbar and maybe one in the middle here. Basically, I'm going to have a go and just keep going and keep welding until the skeleton looks appropriate and has the appropriate structural integrity. The only other thing that I want to do, and that's also one of the reasons that I need the vise, is I'm going to make these pieces of steel about, say, 5 centimeters with a hook on the end, because this actually has to mount on the wall. And instead of using a mirror plate like I usually do, these are mirror plates, for anyone that doesn't have a clue what I'm talking about. Normally that's mounted onto the back of a painting, and then only this part sticks out, and then that gets screwed into the wall. So obviously I can't use mirror plates on this because there's no wood to drill in the back, and I also want the painting to kind of float. Let's just lift you up a bit because it's getting a bit ridiculous speaking down like that. So I want the painting to kind of float a bit off the wall, and that way what I've decided to do is like have a piece of metal sticking out from the piece of art with like a curve on the end, and then I'll have some sort of curved bracket that mounts to the wall, and then this curved hook thing that's on the back will slot into it, and if there's 3 or 4 of them on the back of the painting, I think that's the easiest way to mount them on the wall, and that way it actually gets it to float, and I think that floating will look you know, really nice. Now, just to give you a bit more context, this prototype that I made last week, the 3D printing, is now dry, and I've put it with this slight flotation you see there, and that floating off the wall gives it, well, gives it a sort of depth that the other work doesn't ever seem to have. So that's yeah, I just think that looks very professional and actually has this quality to it that my current work is missing. So I'm going to try and utilize that and do the same with this other frameless work, which this also is. I mean, ooh, doesn't that look good? But lots of talking. I think I'm just going to crack on and show you some action. All right.
A few moments later.
Quick update. I was just setting up the welder, and because I assume it's going to spark everywhere, I was planning to do it out in the back garden here. Garden. I'll show you. So I was planning on doing it out here, but it's been raining all day and there's a really big puddle on the floor. So welding, electricity, I just don't think it's a good idea to do that. So I have made a space in the studio here, look behind me, and cleared away all the carpets and put a backplate here, so if any sparks shoot off, hopefully they don't create any sort of fire. I've also put another power cable leading down here from upstairs, so I don't short out my own power supply in here, which I did about 2 years ago, before I had my YouTube channel actually, in the winter when I had a bunch of heating. And also the fire extinguisher's here, so if there's any major problems, then I'll be able to take care of it. So I'm going to cut up some metal and weld. Okay, this is a bit harder than I expected. It's like the 3rd or 4th time that I've cleaned up the metal because it's not gone very well, and I don't really know why, if I'm honest. I guess maybe I've got to do a bit more research about it, or maybe my technique sucks or whatever, but it's very different to the types of welders that I've used in the past. I'm gonna have another go, see how it goes. Maybe I've just got to get the technique. Okay guys, well, today's been pretty disappointing, to be honest. The results are as follows. Yeah, a bunch of failed attempts at welding and not even a single good bead of weld. So I seem to have fundamentally misunderstood something here. So I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to do a bit more research tonight or tomorrow morning, and I'll head down here tomorrow and hopefully have a bit more success with this. Yeah, I was kind of expecting to just work, so yeah, I guess this is part of the journey. See you tomorrow. Okay, so I lied. It's actually the same day as I said I was going to stop, but I looked at like a 10-minute YouTube video and just thought, well, I'll check it out, I'll have a go. And I mean, it's not pretty by any standards, but I think that is welded. So I'm gonna try picking it up and, sorry, that's the welding machine. I'm gonna try picking it up and see if it actually worked. Way too excited right now. Awesome, so it did work. I mean, it is certainly not pretty, but that is by no means of an argument welded. Well, it's going so well, I think I'm just going to do the other side. Turn it on. So, really, I'm going to call it a day now, and I'll pick up tomorrow with the rest of it. Straight into a time lapse. Okay, pausing the time lapse. We're like 3 days in. You can't see my face, but yeah, progress is being made. You can see this part of the frame is done, this top corner is done. There's been quite a steep learning curve. I've just got to do the bars that go across here and here to connect the two up, and then basically all the main structure that I wanted to do is complete, and then we'll see if it's stable or needs a few cross braces. Gonna get back to it. Okay, I have just finished making these pegs. These are going to get welded to the back of the frame, and this is what's, with a hook, going to slot into the wall. So I'm going to probably make some sort of jig out of wood, and then weld them up, and then basically everything's done. So that's it. After what took a lot longer than, well, what I first anticipated, the piece is actually finished. Two-dimensionally this looks pretty good, but there are a few things about the finished subframe that I'm not actually 100% happy with. So the structure's pretty good, but I think the flotation is slightly too far. It doesn't show up on camera so well, but it just seems slightly too far out. So yeah, I actually finished this yesterday, but irritating as it is, I've come back this morning and I just think that it needs to go back about 5 centimeters. So yeah, I'm not going to show that this week, but I'm going to remove the back pegs off the back, cut them down a little bit and re-weld them, and then I'm going to mount the surface to the frame, and then yeah, that'll probably be next week's episode, and we'll see how it progresses from there. If I, you know, hurry up, then it'll join this unit of work being painted with it, and that way it should be finished at about the same time, which is not what I was expecting, but that's positive. So, that's all for this week. Okay, bye then.